Welcome to tonight's Board of Commissioners meeting. Join us for the invocation delivered by Commissioner Goodman, then join us for the pledge.
Let us stand, please. Gentlemen, remove your covers, please. Let us bow. Our Father and our God in heaven, we come to Thee asking You for Your guidance in the matters we're about to deliberate. Father, there are so many things that we would petition You for on behalf of other people, those who are suffering. We ask Your particular blessing on those who have dropped what they're doing, left their families, and come to the aid of others who are in such dire straits. Father, protect them and be with all of those who serve us in the public in uniform. Guide them, guard them, watch over them. Father, we ask that those who are so severely affected receive Your blessings and see better days. All of these things we ask in Thy name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, Katie.
All commissioners are present.
All right, are there any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
Got a first and a second to adopt the agenda. All in favor? Motion carries. So there are no changes to the minutes from the October 1st public hearing and regular meeting. Can I get a motion to accept those minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes, Mr. Chairman, as presented.
Second.
Got a first and second to approve the minutes. All in favor? Motion carries. All right, this brings us to our first presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. We're here to recognize our Showcase Camden County 2024 photo contest. And we have our contestants in the audience. And what we'd like to do is to go ahead and recognize, first and foremost, a couple of people that they did not win the grand prize of being the winner, but their photos were just so good that we wanted to acknowledge them in front of everyone because of the work that they did. And the first person I'd like to call up as an honorable mention is Melissa Boyer. This is her photo on the screen. And we just want to present her with this certificate of acknowledgement of the beautiful job that you did with capturing that moment. Thank you. You're welcome. Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Secondly, as honorable mention, in actually 3 categories, I want to call up Carlos Barber Sr. That's his first picture. The second, and the third. And you can imagine how hard it was. And those photos weren't the winners, but they are winners in my eyes. So here's the certificate. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to get to the winners. But first, I want to tell you that we had actually 53 entries, which is a lot for our contest. And that came from 18 applicants. And they were submitted in the categories of landscape, nature, wildlife, sunrise, sunset, and transportation. So our first one for transportation, the winner is Greg Holt, Boat in a Storm. That's the wrong one.
That's not a boat.
Sorry. Go to the next one. Next one. That's actually not it. The black and white. There we go. There we go. Sorry about that. And the next one, let me see what picture comes up first before oh, here we go. This one is Terry King, Fireworks on the River. There you go. You're welcome. The next one is Sunrise Sunset, that's Sarah Manning. I don't believe that she was able to make it tonight, but I just wanted to recognize her anyway. And last but not least, we have Nature Wildlife, Grasshopper. And that's Carlos Barber Jr. And out of the 4 top ones in each category, we did have an overall winner, and that is Terry King, Fireworks on the River. Well, I want to thank everybody that actually submitted in the contest. It made it so hard for our judges. They actually had to do a tiebreaker and everything. That's how good the photos were this year. And we appreciate each and every one that submitted and hope that even more will enter next year. So if I can get the commissioners to come down, we can take pictures. Thank you.
Could y'all stay for a second? We want to get a photo with the honorable mentions as well.
You saw your boy on TV, didn't you? Yeah. Cool. I wish I could keep the pace.
All right, this brings us to our first public comment of the night. They'll be limited to 3 minutes and agenda items only. Any registered speakers, Katie?
Not on agenda items.
Okay. Does anybody wish to speak to the board on agenda items at this time? Come on up.
I'm Rick Manning from Bullhead. I'd like to address agenda item 1 to begin with. These financial policies, we've discussed this before up here, and I know I have. I don't see any oversight, any accountability held for any of these department heads. Anybody else that gets a budget, they just, there's no oversight. So why are we even contemplating upping this? I feel like this should be tabled for a public hearing until we can discuss a way to have oversight and accountability over these budgets. We have none now, so let's just double everything and really have none. And, you know, it's like giving a kid a jar full of candy. And every time it gets a little low, you're going to fill it back up, but you don't ever say nothing about it and find out where all the candy's going. You're doing the same thing here. I think we need a public meeting, and let's discuss oversight on that. That takes you right into the fiscal year budget amendments. There you go, because there's no oversight. Here you are giving PSA money because they say they're not going to get as much money coming in. Well, you know what? I can say that too, but you don't cut my taxes because I'm not gonna have much income coming in, do you? But they can't cut their budget and make it meet. I don't understand that. I'm not gonna talk about everything because you ain't gonna give me time, but so I'll just jump right down here to, number 8, where you're gonna get a Land and Water Conservation Fund grant. And we're gonna match it with splotch money. I looked through the 140 some odd page agenda. I see the splotch on there, but it doesn't say if we're matching with splotch 8 or splotch 9. That's got a lot of big difference in using splotch 8 and splotch 9. Splotch 9's got to be voted on. Splotch 8's already been voted on, and we just can't use that money for whatever we want to. So that needs to be clarified before any of that's approved. You know, folks, we need to start watching what we're doing up here and holding some people accountable and you know, instead of just willy-nilly doing our taxes. This ain't working. I'll address the other concerns that's not on the agenda at the next public comments. Thank you.
And Ricky, I apologize, I was looking at the wrong thing when I said.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Stephen Walensky. I'm the owner of 252 Horse Stamp Church Road. I'd like to address the issue of the development that's going in at Highway 17 and Horse Stamp Church Road.
Okay, hold on just a second. During the public hearing on that, you'll have 10 minutes total for it and 10 minutes against it, and then a rebuttal. But you can go ahead if you want to do it here too. So.
I just wanted to say that it seems like this development continually increases in scope. It went from being a feed store on the corner in the country to becoming a manufacturing plant, or at least an assembly plant for pole barns and barn dominiums, large metal structures. And this evening, they're going to consider the painting clause, no painting clause that was in the commission's previous meeting. I grew up in an area that was residential and industrial, and I moved specifically to Waverly for the fresh air, peace and quiet, and this is going to undo all of that progress. I'll address further in commentary later when we have more time. But all of my neighbors are concerned with the possibility of fumes, noise, increased traffic, effects to the water table. We all live on wells individually there. It'll be bordering a lot of residences and affecting that with the potential chemicals that could be released from painting. I'll reserve anything else for later, so.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. I'd like to speak on Agenda Item 8. First of all, I would like to thank whoever's responsible for going after and looking at potential grant funds as opposed to tax funds. In particular, this grant, for those who are not aware, the Land and Water Conservation Funds uses 0 tax funds. It's actually, those funds are acquired through corporations as sort of an excise usage with regards to fueling systems that are offshore, so it uses 0 taxed funds. I do, however, hope that when we get to Agenda Item 8, that there will be some discussion with regards to what funds are going to be used, because as I'm sure you're aware, that particular grant requires 100% match funding from another source. And as Mr. Manning stated, on the extended agenda, it stated that it was going to be SPLOST funds, but it doesn't indicate which SPLOST funds are going to be used. As we've spoken on several times, there are no excess SPLOST funds until every item that has been listed on the referendum has been funded and completed, as outlined in Dickey v. Story by the Georgia State Supreme Court. So I really hope that someone will ask the question as to where the match funds that are going to be allocated to be used with that particular grant. But once again, I'm excited that we are looking outside of tax funds within this county to fund the enhancement of our parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on. All right, this time we need a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and convene a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
The first and second to convene a public hearing. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, Joy.
Good evening, Chairman, and good evening, Commissioners. Tonight, I'm here to request further clarification in regarding the no painting condition associated with Special Use 2024-05. This parcel is located in District 1 on the corner of US Highway 17 and Horse Stamp Church Road. You may recall that this condition was established during the September 3rd Board of Commissioner meeting as a part of the approval process for the special use request involving the sale of prefabricated sheds on this parcel. So staff is here tonight to ask for that further clarification on this item.
Okay, I made the motion for no painting, but I think that's a little too restrictive, because if you do no painting on that parcel, that means they can't even paint their own building. That's not what I meant with it. I think they should be able to do, regular painting on their facility. But the question is on these buildings that they have, there's not going to be any wholesale painting of the buildings. It's just touch-up painting. If the sheet metal's got a scratch or something like that, they need the ability to touch that up. So, we don't want to do wholesale industrial type painting on that facility, but they should have the ability to maintain their property and touch up the buildings as they are being manufactured or assembled.
Clarification, Mr. Casey.
Yes, sir.
Will it be aerosolized painting, or will it be like brush application or something that does not introduce paint fumes and particulates into the atmosphere?
Well, I would say no paint booths or anything like that, but a can of spray paint, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
So. All right. So we'll give the public 10 minutes. Anybody wish to speak in favor of this? Come on up if you want to speak in favor of it. Those who wish to speak in opposition of what I just proposed.
You have one person registered,
Okay.
Ms. Sherry Taylor.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sherry Taylor. I reside at 319 Horse Stamp Church Road, which is diagonal to the property that has recently been rezoned from forestry, agriculture to commercial. And I do thank you for putting in that no painting clause into the rezoning. The main reason I was happy to hear about that is because this is mainly a residential community. And even though it is in an unincorporated area of Camden County, unincorporated does not mean anything goes. It should never mean anything goes. And any new business that comes into this area, a residential area, I believe should respect the rights of the stakeholders, the long-term stakeholders that are in that community, so that we can continue to enjoy our property, and that we will suffer no long-term effects from anything that happens and in that commercial zone. Now, as far as the painting, my concern is spraying painting outdoors. Now, I agree that using the occasional aerosol can of spray paint to touch up is not going to be a big deal. But by opening that up and taking that clause out of the rezoning, are we opening a Pandora's box here? Because if that's not there, that could extend further into outdoor painting of all types. Mr. Boyd's business may not be the only business that takes over that structure. He may decide to move. We could have a body repair shop. That would definitely be aerosol. And I'm not certain that an indoor enclosed area inside the building will be enough to protect the air quality or the overspray that could come. And then two, how are these containers going to be stored until they are properly disposed of? Are they going to be piled against a fence and possibly rainwater leach it into our soil and affect our wells? So I have lots of questions. I mean, I understand, touch-up paint or painting the interior of the building itself, especially as it's newly built. But I don't agree that the no painting clause should be removed, just because that opens that Pandora box to a lot of things in the future. And we're not talking about just the present, one landowner, one business owner. We're looking at the future here, and that's why I'm standing here. This is my community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Still got some time. Anybody else want to speak in opposition?
Hello, my name is Mark McPherson. Me and my family moved down here 850 miles to get away from industrialization, city, and noise. We came here to Waverly because it was a nice community, it was quiet, it was residential. We feel that if you build some type of industrialization of any kind in this area, it's gonna put down home value, people will move away, and everything will be lost. Because this area, people want to move to have land, have quiet, not have people building things. So we feel this is a slippery slope to what may cause what's happening up north. So please, do not have industrialization here.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening again. My name is Stephen Walensky. I live at 252 Horse Stamp Church Road. My property is immediately adjacent to the affected area. And I like what you said, Commissioner Casey, about limited amounts of painting. My fear was they were going to put in spray booths and put in wholesale, large-scale painting of items. I don't think that touch-up painting or even the occasional spray paint can, whatever we can find in the regulations to limit that, that would be acceptable to the commission, to basically to limit the overspray. We don't want to have, many of us have livestock, all have pets that are outdoors. There's a lot of small children in the area that play outdoors with our wonderful climate, with the exception of July and August. And I don't want them to have the experiences that I had as a child, where it was constantly smelling chemicals and noise from big diesel trucks and everything else that goes along with industrialization. That's really all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, does anybody want to rebut any statements made? Seeing none. I believe, Joey, doesn't the special use conditions carry with the property?
Yes, sir, it does.
So these special use will be there until this board changes it?
That is correct, yes, sir.
Okay.
Joey, or who would be responsible for overseeing this? Would it be your office?
It will be. We would have it noted on our maps of the special use. Any rezone we note, any special use or any condition placed on that parcel, we note it, which will be seen forever.
So it looks like we're basically going to say in what we're doing here that you won't be able to fully spray paint anything at all, right? Only touch-up paint, that's basically what you're saying? And you guys said that that's okay with you as well, right?
Now, when a property owner paints their building, that's usually a one-time deal every 5, 10 years. You know, they may choose to spray paint that building, the main structure.
But not to set up a room where you go in there and spray paint anything, right?
Right.
And we're going to stipulate that in the contract?
Yes.
Yes, sir, I'll make a notation. Correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner, or Chairman. We're basically talking about any type of industrial or commercial type painting, any kind of
So home painting?
residential, anything of that nature may be acceptable.
Yes.
Okay.
So you guys would be okay if they just painted the building on the outside? Okay.
All right. Well,
Mr. Chairman, a quick question.
Okay.
And this may be for Mr. Yacobachi. The activity of a special use, if it ceases to occur for more than a year, doesn't it expire?
It does expire, yes.
Okay,
If the
thank you.
business goes out of, if it goes out of business in
Right.
more than a year, it expires. yes.
Okay, but as long as it's
point.
continuous, activity, and there's not a year lapse in the
That is
activity, then
correct.
it'll
Even
stay.
through a sale, if they sell it, it continues.
Sure, okay,
yes.
awesome. Thank you. Just wanted to clarify that.
but if the business is shut down for a year, or they don't do that special purpose, then it goes away.
Goes away, yes.
Any more questions? All right, this time we need a motion to adjourn the public hearing and reconvene the regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Got a first and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. All right, this brings us to item number 1. This was, let's see. This was something that was put forth by the board several years ago in our strategic planning, and it's worked its way to the top, so.
So, good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. This agenda item is for your consideration to approve some changes to the financial policies. And I do have a PowerPoint that we initially showed back in August, and it's just not had the opportunity to come back on the agenda since then. And hopefully this will answer some of the questions that were raised at that point. So an overview of this is the reason we're doing that. Number one, the reason we're doing this is a review and revision in accordance with the Camden County Strategic Plan. It is a top priority for this year, and it was for last year as well. So I have reviewed the policies, and we've looked at the finance policy, purchasing card policy, the purchasing card and credit card policy for elected officials, and also the travel policy. I've made changes to just some modifications to grammar, formatting, and other aspects. And the detailed policies has been provided to you. And I've redlined the areas that should be deleted and highlighted in yellow the areas to be added, just so it's convenient to look at. And also, this presentation outlines the major changes to the policies. Oops. So the first area is the capital assets, and we currently, from our finance policy from 2015, our capital asset threshold is $5,000, and we're recommending that it be increased to $10,000. One of the areas it's almost 10 years at this point, and the inflation over that period was about 35%. And $5,000 back in 2015 is now about $6,700. And we are requesting the $10,000, and as a comparison, I looked at some of the surrounding counties, and I've noted here what their thresholds are for capitalizing assets and the year that they instituted that amount. So Glynn County is $5,000, that was in 2021. Bryan County, again, is $5,000, 2016.
Bullock County, $5,000, 2019. Putnam County was $10,000 in 2023, and Upson County is $5,000 in 2021. And I would just note that Putnam changing theirs to $10,000 in 2023, really that was the year, really we could say that it was almost post-COVID, where the other ones were either during COVID or pre-COVID. And just a lot of costs have increased since that period of time. Keep going backwards. There we go. Another item is the grants management, changing it so that the county administrator may approve changes for any amounts under $50,000 if already appropriated within the approved budget. And currently that amount is $25,000, and that was from our 2012 finance policy. And as a comparison, the other counties were Glynn County, the county administrator can approve up to just under $50,000, $49,999, or 20% of a contract, whichever is less, and the board approval is $50,000 or more. And I also want to note that the other policies that I looked at, they were not specific for changes to grants management, but this was just for change orders, and I'll address this again later in the policy. But it's the closest I could find in their policies that address this. Bryan County, the county administrator, up to 5% of the contract, and the county administrator and the chairman if more than 5%, and reported to the board if more than $100,000 exceeding budgeted program requires board approval. So if it is more than budget, it still needs to come to the board. In Bullock County, more than $25,000. In Putnam, it was not addressed in the policy. And in Upson County, non-construction contracts, the county administrator up to $25,000. Construction contracts, any amount would need board approval. So then also our travel purchasing card and purchasing card for elected official policies, what I've done as a change is I've linked them as part of the finance policies, just so it's just more organized. Authorizations, currently, and this is from our 2010 policy, purchasing policy, is we do what's called a field purchase order for purchases between $250 and $1,499.99. It's a handwritten purchase order that's completed by the department, and the designee in that department is authorized to complete that, and they submit that along with the invoice. I've just found that it's very cumbersome, and I don't really think it's any kind of internal control. It's just more paperwork because the designee submits the invoice anyway, and it has approvals on it. So we're recommending up to $2,999.99. The department authority that no purchase order would be required. And this ties into currently from our 2010 policy, our purchasing officer would be required to issue a purchase order for anything over $1,500. And this is recommending that we change that to anything over $3,000. And again, just comparing the inflation from 2010 to 2024, it was a 45% inflation rate. So $1,500 back in 2010 would be almost $2,200 today. And that's just an average inflation rate. And then also as part of this, although it would still require coming through the purchasing officer for items $3,000 to $9,999.99, they would be required to get 3 alternative quotes, but they could be telephone quotes, and they would make a notation on the requisition form of the companies that they contacted and the dollar amounts. Anything over $10,000 up to $49,999.99, they would need, again, 3 alternate quotes, but these must be in writing or like via email or an official quote submitted by the company. And all of those quotes would need to be submitted to the purchasing officer in order to receive a purchase order. And then as a comparison, the other counties, Glynn County requires purchase orders going through their purchasing officer over $1,500. Bryan County is over $500, although they have a couple other areas, purchase orders issued by the department level, $500 to $9,999, and the county administrator or finance director, $10,000 to $40,000, and the chairman, $40,000 to $100,000. Bullock County is anything over $2,500. Putnam, purchase orders required over $5,000, and Upson over $5,000. So again, this is more on authorizations on the purchasing policy for $50,000 or more, in addition to the stated guidelines, requires Board of Commissioners approval. Right now, it's $25,000 or more. So that's why there's many items that come before the board for $25,000, and we're just recommending that that be increased to $50,000. And as comparison, you could see Glenn is over $50,000, Bryan over $100,000, Bullock over $15,000, Putnam $75,000, and Upson $25,000. So you can see it's very variable too on each of the counties. And then $100,000 or more, that requires formal competitive bid solicitation through purchasing officer, and currently it's $25,000, and that's from the purchasing policy in 2010 and 2015. And the public works construction projects, which would be roads or any kind of construction of a building, is $100,000 or more, and that's also in accordance with Georgia law as stated there, and formal competitive bidding is required with sealed bids.
I believe the state is working on changing that, where it'll be 200,000.
Yes, there was something put before, I think it went through General Assembly. Sean, do you remember? It was part, it went.
So you're referring to the increase of the public works contracts?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So
Yes.
the state did approve that, General Assembly approved it, but the governor did not sign off on it, so therefore it did not become law.
Okay.
They were increasing that threshold from 100,000 to 200,000.
So the purchase order approvals, right now, a purchase order of up to $10,000, or actually $9,999.99, I could approve that if it's a budgeted item. So it would go through the purchasing officer, I review it, and I could approve it. Anything over $10,000 would require my approval and also Sean's or Seth's approval, acting as in his behalf. So it would require two of us to be reviewing the information. And this is making a recommendation that I could approve up to just under $25,000 if it's a budgeted item. And then anything over that would require mine and Sean's approval. So it would require the dual approval. And then contracts for professional or other technical services, $50,000 or more, would come before the board. And right now, it does not require board approval at all. So, and that's from our 2015 purchasing policy. And you can see as comparison, Glynn County is greater than $50,000, selected by, they actually put theirs out to bid, but it's exempt from an RFP only if the majority board approves. So the board could approve that it doesn't get put out to bid. Bryan County is over $20,000, needing an RFP, and advertised if deemed appropriate by county administrator, approved by the county administrator, maximum duration 5 years, then bid again. Bullock is competitive bidding not required, no dollar threshold was identified, and approvals assumed regular purchasing policy, which was over $15,000. Putnam, nothing was stated, and Upson exempt from competitive bidding if under $25,000. So really, it's, if there's really a problem with one of these items, the county, as our financial policies or purchasing policies, we could set any kind of criteria associated with that. You could see that from just all the different variable ways that different counties do this. And then software subscription-based information technology arrangements, which are SABITAs. We're recommending renewals that are budgeted and cost has not increased by more than 10%, would not require a purchase order. And currently, it's written that any renewals over $5,000 would require a purchase order, and that was from our 2015 purchasing policy. And item is an exception to our own policy that monthly maintenance agreements do not need purchase orders. So in general, they don't need purchase orders, but we set it up that the Sabitas do, and we're just suggesting this means that it's a piece of software that we're already using, and it's just the annual cost on that. And this item is not specifically addressed in policies at other counties, but regarding their maintenance agreements, Glynn County the maintenance and subscriptions are exempt from the purchasing process. Bryan, recurring contracted maintenance is exempt. Bullock, contracted maintenance exempt from purchasing. And Putnam and Upsum, it wasn't stated specifically. And then emergency purchases, this is again in the purchasing policy. It would authorize county administrator or his or her designee. $50,000 or more must be reported and ratified by the Board of Commissioners at the next meeting. So he could approve up to $50,000, but it still needs to be reported. And currently, we have that threshold set at $25,000, and that was from 5 years ago at our 2019 policy update. And the other counties, Glynn, county administrator up to $50,000. If declared emergency by the administrator or the Board of Commissioners, up to $100,000. Bryan County waives purchasing requirements and no dollar limit specified. Bullock, all emergency purchases are reported to the board. And Putnam had not stated this in their policy, and Upson emergency purchases are submitted through purchasing. So again, it's just very variable on how each of the counties handle this. And change orders, the absolute value up to just under $25,000 could be approved by me as the chief financial officer. The absolute value up to $50,000 could be approved by county administrator. And what we mean by that is, change order 1 is $10,000, change order 2 is $20,000. That would put the total change orders at $30,000, which our county administrator would be able to approve. And then an absolute value of $50,000 or more would require board approval. And that's from our 2019 policy as well. And you can see the other counties, again, it's variable. Glynn, county administrator, up to $50,000 or 20% of the contract. Bryan County, up to 5% of the contract. Reported to the board if more than $100,000. Bullock, more than $25,000. Putnam didn't state it. And Upson, non-construction contracts. County administrator, up to $25,000. And any construction contracts, all of those require board approval. So the next item is just the vendor's conflict of interest, sale or real personal property to county or local officers or employees. So right now, it's written in our 2010 policy that it's a $200 per quarter. So this means that, like, say, as a board member, if you had a business that potentially items could be sold to the county, the 2010 policy said that it could be done up to $200 per quarter. But the state law did change, and it now states that there's no conflict of interest if it's up to $800 per quarter. So this change is just in accordance with current state law. There's a section in the purchasing card policy on vendor blocking. I just updated that, and it establishes the standard. Bank of America, who is the P-card company for us, we are using their blocking for cash transactions. Keep going backwards. And this is to the purchasing card and credit card policy for elected officials. It's really just changing the wording, and I'll just read through it. It acknowledges in writing by the elected official beginning on the date of first receipt of the county purchasing card and shall remain as acknowledged until voluntarily terminated or repudiated in writing by the elected official by revocation of card privilege by action of the county, or at the end of his or her term in office, whichever comes first. So it's just a specific policy for elected officials to hold the county credit card.
That's mainly
Thank
the
you.
constitutional officers.
Yes, sir. Yes. And change to the travel policy is just employees with 24-hour assigned vehicles will have non-incidental personal use charged to their valued and then added to their W-2 as taxable income in accordance with the IRS publication 15B. And that does exclude the majority of public safety vehicles and assigned vehicles to, say, the sheriff's office or the fire department, et cetera, EMS. But it does not exclude, like, say, administrative vehicles that is considered personal use. Personal use would be, say, a commute from home to the Woodbine office. That's considered personal use. So that would be tracked and valued. And then the other item we changed at the August 20th meeting, and that is the per diem for lodging and meals. So that's already been changed. And it's now in accordance with the GSA schedule of costs. And this is another item in the travel policy. We do have experienced some problems with lost receipts. And we have a way of dealing with this, but this puts a little bit more guidelines on it, and I'll just read through it quickly. Lost receipts may be detailed on official letterhead and authorized by the department heads, but repeated failure to submit original receipts will result in a deduction from the accrued paid leave balances and may, to the extent allowed by law and to the extent not covered by accrued paid leave, also result in payroll deductions for the amount of the purchase that is missing documentation. So it's really just repeated really misuse of, not submitting receipts. And then non-travel meals related to meals, snacks or food provided to the following meetings and events. This just allows that we could charge meals, and it's official in the policy that meals could be charged if they're not traveling. And it might be a Board of Commissioner event, or it might be a meeting with an official is having with an employee for specific county business. And that's just a list of my references for this presentation. And are there any questions?
Anybody got any questions for Nancy?
In a nutshell, you got three paragraphs here. One of them being if it's over $50,000, it has to come before the commissioners for approval. The other one being you're moving the county administrator's authority from $25,000 to $49,900. And then the other one being that the chief financial officer has the ability to approve $24,999.99, in other words. The rest of them are a little bit smaller, and you deal with, department heads and how to handle that, how to go bidding. Anything over $100,000, we'll have to go out for 3 bids and that kind of stuff. My suggestion is, though, that we add one thing to it, and I don't really know exactly how to word it, but Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. I trust you, I trust Sean. But in that trust, I think we still need to know there is accountability. And if you guys have to approve $49,999.99, I think somewhere we need to state that the county commissioners will know almost immediately by email or whatever what just took place, where there's nothing, not even a chance that someone could get in trouble and do something wrong. It just takes it away. So that's my suggestion. I'm okay with this because I do know that government is slow. Everything about government is slow. It drives me nuts sometimes. And this will speed up the process, which will make us more efficient over time, and we can do more with the government, the taxpayers' dollars. So,
Are you making a motion?
I don't know how to. What I wrote down. Any expenditure that fits this must be submitted or sent to commissioners before the next meeting. That way, if it needs to be discussed, it can be discussed. It can go on the agenda and discuss it. If one of the commissioners has questions about it. I don't see this happening a lot, but it could and should periodically.
Which purchase orders are you referencing to? All of them?
All of them. Because, I mean, you've got all these different ones, and I don't even try to put them all down, but like bidding methods, he can approve, looks like to me, up to $100,000. You know, those kinds of things. Then it tells exactly if a purchase is over $3,000, it must be submitted to purchasing to generate a system, assigned 8-digit purchase order numbers prior to securing the goods, so forth and so on. And then back here, it basically says anything over $50,000 has to come before us, which will slow down the process because they won't be able to go out and get the 3 bids until we approve it. Or the county administrator can approve it up to that 50 or 49,000. And then the chief financial officer can do 24,999. That's what I'm seeing.
Quick question, how many purchase orders? I'd be willing to bet we issue tens of thousands of purchase orders a year, or thousands.
Well, the ones that actually come through the purchasing, which is $1,500 or more, 400,
Okay, that's all.
400 a year.
Can I give an example? I mean, it's
I think what you're really referring to is like right now, myself and Seth, we have up to $25,000
Right.
approval. Anything above that comes before the board. I think what you're referring to is anything beyond the 25 that we currently have now would then be reported immediately to the board. And if commissioners have questions, we can talk about it at the next meeting.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
One thing this will clear up is, like a couple of meetings ago, we bought some bunker gear for $26,000. Nobody's gonna turn that down, so why even bring it to us? And going up to $50,000, you know, that's an automatic purchase, basically.
Yeah, and I'm saying basically you can do that, but you need to inform the board, which is an email or whatever, however you want to do it. Some way that it makes it more efficient, in my opinion.
And these are just for budgeted items, correct?
Correct.
And there was the one paragraph in there about emergency purchase orders. Was that
Yes.
for non-budgeted items, or was that just in a case where?
That would really, it wouldn't necessarily be a budgeted item because it is an emergency situation. So if something happened during a hurricane and we needed to go and buy 3 generators, which would normally maybe have to go out to bid.
Right.
Or this would authorize Sean to be able to sign off on that purchase order.
Okay.
All right, anybody got a motion on this?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Some of the same concerns that I expressed the last time still exist, although Martin has done a very good job of, I think, articulating something that will alleviate some of the concerns. We read every day where good and honest people are caught in a situation where they've done wrong. And I trust Mr. Boatwright and Ms. Gonzalez and all of the department directors explicitly, but I don't want to put them in a situation where the temptation is even there. So I am going to vote no to these. I will be overruled, I'm sure. But one of the things that was said is that this, will be less cumbersome for the board. Well, personally, I don't find it to be very cumbersome. I owe the constituents a duty to be a good steward, and it's not even near my threshold of intolerance. I don't want to see us loosen things up. I want to see us maintain extremely tight controls. This county has a history of millions of dollars going missing, and I want to break that up.
The PSA has a history of millions of dollars missing, but not the county.
Okay. We could argue that point about, the spaceport. That was millions of dollars, and I don't,
Mr. Goodman, when you and Mr. Winkle were investigating the county on the spaceport, did you find any illegal activity?
we found some questionable activities, Mr. Casey, and, I just want to avoid any question from this point going forward. So I've said what I needed to say. I think I need to do my duty to the constituents, and I still express a great deal of appreciation for the work Ms. Gonzalez is doing. I'm sure that the efforts will be rewarded. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak my piece.
Thank you. Anybody else got anything? All right, do you want to make a motion on this, Martin?
Can we, yeah, I'd make the motion that we approve it with that stipulation that I gave, which was, if you have to do this, that you basically let us know exactly what's going on. There may need to be a form that goes on. I by no means want to slow the process down, because if you have an emergency, you need to speed it up, I'm sorry. I don't push the button, but I make the motion that we approve this with that stipulation.
On purchase orders between 25 and 50,000.
Yeah, well, there's more than that. There's quite a bit here. I mean, if you really look at it, it basically says that department heads have so much that they can do, those kinds of things. So there's more than just the 25 to the 50, but of course, that's the major one. So I make the motion that we approve it as written and as shared.
Just to confirm, I mean, when you want a report to the board, can you be a little bit more specific on that? And
I
like
think
what thresholds?
Yeah, I think a simple text message, a group text message for the chairman, that's,
Email.
or an email,
So,
either way.
But on what threshold purchases?
On the higher end,
So
definitely.
anything above 25,000?
I think so,
Okay.
yes, you're right.
All right, I'll second that. Any more discussion? All in favor? Those opposed?
Goodman opposes.
All right, this brings us to the next item. Nancy.
Mr. Chairman, just before we go into the next item, when would the board like to have this take effect? We can have it start November, which is the next month, so we can have it start effective that month, if you so choose.
November's fine with me, November 1st.
Okay.
All right, next item, Nancy.
Yes. The next agenda item are budget amendments for the fiscal year '25 budget. And the amounts reflected are adjustments to reflect the revenue and expenditures necessary to balance the budget to the legal level of control per the finance policy, which means we have to match budget increases and expenditures with a revenue source. And this budget amendment is for the PSA. And the new budget that they adopted would require an additional approximately $50,000 from the Camden County Board of Commissioners. And I have provided you with a summary of that information. I'm seeing if I have it right here myself. Yes. So ours would increase by about $50,000. City of St. Mary's and Kingsland, about the same amount, and Woodbine, just under $3,000. In that our fiscal year is different than the PSA's fiscal year, it doesn't impact us for the remainder of this year quite that much. We would need to increase the budget by $39,891, and that would fund them fully through June 30th. And then with our new fiscal year, we would have to look at their new budget numbers. So we're requesting approval.
Okay, can I get a motion on this item?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Those opposed?
Goodman.
Thank you.
Joey, you're back up. Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Thank you again, Chairman. I'm here tonight to request further clarification regarding the no painting condition associated with special use 2024-05. This parcel is located in District 1 on the corner of US Highway 17 and Horse Stamp Church Road in Waverly. Now, this condition was established during the September 3rd Board of Commissioner meeting request, which involved the sale of prefabricated sheds. So staff recommends, or staff is asking for further clarification on this.
Okay, I'm make a motion that we grant them limited ability to do touch-up painting, but no wholesale painting, no spray booths, no industrial type painting. Just the ability to touch up their prefab buildings that they're making and the ability to maintain their building.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any more discussion? That's something you'll be able to enforce?
Yes, sir.
Got a first and a second. All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. All right, James, where are you? There you are.
I was hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
Good evening, Commissioners. So what I've got on the agenda tonight for item number 4 is another one of these workforce housing bonds. And just so you remember the way these work, the state of Georgia has decided they've got a ranking system, and they rank counties across the state based on the availability of attainable housing for the county's workforce. So this is people that work in the county. They might be police officers, nurses, teachers, whatever. Is there housing that's available to them at a price that they can afford? And Camden has consistently, in the last few years, ranked as no. There is not enough attainable workforce housing. I know for those of you that drive around, you see that is changing, and there has been some progress toward that end. But anyway, the state, they encourage developers to identify sources or pieces of land in areas that qualify based on scoring criteria that they set: access to health care, access to groceries, access to different things. And then they ask the developers to submit that site for consideration. And if it is scored by the state and deemed appropriate, the state issues tax credits that developer can then sell to offset the cost of building their project, and that in turn allows them to offer their project at a lower price. So that tax credit serves as equity into the project. They've been coming to us, different developers have been coming to the Joint Development Authority to be the bond issuer for these projects for the last couple of years. When we do this is not a debt of the Joint Development Authority. It's not a debt of the county. It's not a debt of the city. It is strictly a debt of the developer, but the state requires that the local development authority or housing authority actually issue the bond before they'll issue the tax credits. Just the way the program is set up. So this developer is for Seacoast Apartments, which is proposed to be developed right next to the hospital. The easiest way to describe it is the little road between the hospital and JP's Liquor. Sits right there, that piece of property back there. They've acquired that, and they propose to put 144 units there. That'll be priced, let me see, it looks like they'll be priced between $732 a month and $804 a month, depending on the number of bedrooms and baths. And as you probably know from having, if any of you have looked at the cost of apartments in the area, they're well over $1,500 a month for market rate. And those apartments have a waiting list before they're even built. So we've got a pretty high demand in the area. So what we're requesting is that the county commissioners approve that the JDA go ahead and issue this bond. It won't guarantee that the apartments get built. It just guarantees that the developer has the right to enter into the DCA, the state's drawing. And if they are approved, we'll know in February or March of next year, and then the developer can go ahead and get started on that. Any questions?
James, this is basically just a flow-through, am I correct?
That's right.
So it's really not going to cost the taxpayers a penny?
Doesn't cost the county, the city, or the JDA anything, and we
Okay.
have no debt associated with it.
And if they're awarded this, then they start, I think you sent me a text that around June of next year?
I thought they would start in June. There will be no visible progress in June. They'll be selling those tax credits in June and signing their equity partners. Actually, you wouldn't see any physical progress until late next year.
Okay.
All right, any more questions? All right, can I get a motion on this item?
So moved. Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a first and a second to approve the issuance of the revenue bonds. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. In front of you is an approval to purchase a 2024 Chevy work truck package for the Department of Public Works from Daniel Chevrolet of Swainsboro, Georgia. Essentially, we're looking at getting 6 trucks for our workforce, 2 Chevy Silverado 2500 4x4 service trucks, 2 2024 Chevy Silverado 1500 4x4 work trucks, and 2 2024 Chevy Colorado 4x4 crew cab work trucks. Just a little history. Currently, DPW has 4 trucks that have already been placed out of service during the previous fiscal year due to catastrophic failures and overage on mileage. The trucks were cost prohibited to repair and return to service due to age and mileage. 2 of the trucks will be surplus and sent over to solid waste for use for the final years of use. They have well over 200,000 miles on them and can be used on the landfill in day-to-day use. The fiscal year 2025 budget included the purchase of 6 work trucks for the DPW at an estimated cost of $260,000. Competitive pricing was received from 3 local commercial truck dealerships, Daniel Chevrolet, Stingray Chevrolet, and Woody Folsom Auto Group. All of them submitted a complete package except Woody Folsom didn't submit pricing for the Chevy Colorados. Daniel Chevrolet was the only commercial truck dealer that included delivery, which again will save us labor and fuel costs on us not having to go get the vehicles ourselves. So they offered the lowest competitive truck package at $275,679, which was a little over $11,000 cheaper than the next competitor. The savings, and just for a quick little history, so we have a $60,000 approval for a purchase and build of a lowboy trailer this fiscal year. We're already in works on getting that project put together, and it looks like that number is going to be significantly lower. So we're using the savings in that project to supplant the extra funds needed to make this purchase of these 6 vehicles. So in front of you again is the motion. We're looking for the motion to approve the purchase of the 2024 Chevy work truck package for the DPW. I'm open for any questions.
All right, can I get a motion on this item?
Motion to approve as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Got a first, second, any discussion?
Ben, the Stingray Chevrolet, theirs was a little bit cheaper on the Silverado, the 1500. However, when I talked with our purchasing director, she told me that basically they have to go get them, which cost about $3,000 to do it. So it is a wash. So if you look at that, you'll see she did her homework and did it well. So I just wanted to throw that out so everyone knows. We did, and we looked local as well to try to fill the need.
We normally in the past have bought in through Stingray Chevrolet and with good background, but this time they didn't come in lower, and you know it's nice that we were able to buy it from a Georgia dealer.
All right, we got a first and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, Seth, you're up.
Thank you, Commissioners. Tonight, I've got a request by the Old School Renovation Committee for modifications to the Woodbine Community Center building, and I want to first thank them for being here tonight, many members of that committee. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming tonight. So in that request, they have, so just to back up, we have a lease with them that we signed a few months ago, and I just want to read a portion of that lease in regard to tenant trade fixtures and alterations alterations following advance written notice to and approval from the landlord, Camden County Board of Commissioners. The tenant may install trade fixtures and make at its own cost and expense such non-structural removable alterations, erections, or additions as are necessary to adapt the premises for the tenant's business. And that's what they're doing here tonight. So they've made a few requests, and the first is to change the sign out front of the building that currently reads Woodbine Community Center, and they would like to purchase a sign that says Old School, Home of the Woodbine Opry. That's the first request they made. Also, they have a request for installation of a walkway cover on the front side of the school, on the ramp between the cafeteria and the school. Secondly, for installation of a walkway cover on the back side of the school where the band enters for the Opry. And then lastly, for installation of a walkway cover on the road side of the school at the kitchen door. And this is to help out if it's raining, especially with bringing in high-priced musical equipment, and just to kind of help necessitate keeping people under a covering, which they don't have right now. I do have Ms. Brenda Chancey from the board if you have any questions regarding this. So thank you, Ms. Chancey, for being here tonight.
You want to add anything? You don't have to if you don't want to. So. Okay. All right, can I get a motion on this item?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
As I understand it, Mr. Collins, you said the Old School Renovation Committee is in attendance. Could you people hold your hands up, please? Okay, and this is the committee that has taken that old school that I graduated from and transformed it into what it is now.
It's real old.
It is real old. Yeah. Basically, it was a log cabin one. Yes. Thank you so much. The class of 65 is in the house, the valedictorian sitting right over there. So thank you for what you did to that building. It is absolutely stunning compared to what it was when I went to school there in the 60s. I want to be sure this is the bona fide original committee that stood in front of the bulldozers. Some of the names that come to mind was Hoyt Drury, Betty, say again? Cottle, and also Clark, Betty Clark, and yes, ma'am, she was. So this is the constituency that represents those people, so that I'm sure that I'm voting for the right group, and you want these changes. Then I wholeheartedly support it, and thank you for the information.
And Commissioner, they took a vote, if I'm correct, that they took a vote that, and all of them were unanimous in this decision, correct?
You got a motion in there somewhere, Mr. Goodman?
I make a motion that we approve the modifications of the buildings to protect the band instruments and people as they come in. They're precious, more than the instruments, and that they be allowed to make the name change to the Old School Opry. Is that what it is? Home of the Woodbine Opry. Thank you for that correction. And that is my motion, Mr. Chairman.
And I second that motion, Mr.
Got a
Chairman.
first and a second to accept the renovations or modifications. Any more discussion? All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right, Chuck, you're up.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I come before you this evening to ask for your consideration and approval for the installation of an access control system for the Resiliency Operations Center. The funding source would be congressional funding through Congressman Carter's office. The amount is $56,386. A little background. The Resiliency Operations Center will carry out a lot of mission sets for the county, including housing our planning department, as we finish the IT network build out to get them moved over. But also having the ability to control those gates in an efficient and secure manner, including voice, video, and data, that those gates could be controlled even remotely from inside during an activation, where logistics and critical supplies could be brought in by tractor trailer into the laydown yard, I think will be advantageous for us going forward. The current technology is just no longer functioning. We don't have power, there are no fiber optics, everything is rusted out from the Georgia Power days. The gate controller motor is burned out, so nothing effectively works. This will cover 2 gates, 2 motorized gates, along with an access control system through a company called Access. So in this facility, we utilize Access for our cameras, our controls. If you go down into the election suite to enter down there, you'll see a voice data system with a camera in it. That's a very similar technology through the same manufacturer that would be employed on this. So in essence, what we're building out continues to be an enterprise solution so that everything fits and everything works. I am requesting approval for this. Again, this is congressional funding source in the amount of $56,386.
All right, can I get a motion on this item?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Got a first and second to approve the access control for the Resiliency Center. Any more discussion?
That's the 2 gates on the right.
Yes, sir. So one affronts Garfunkel, which, you know, if you're standing at that gate, literally the fuel pump's directly in front. The other gate is the gate closest to the kind of Phase 2 main building, and it would face you into Gross Road.
Okay. Also, I appreciate you using a local contractor as well.
Yes, sir.
All right, we got a first and second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, Julie.
Good evening. I'm requesting approval to submit a grant to the Georgia Department of Natural Resources Land and Water Conservation Fund in the amount of $425,000. These grant funds, along with county match, will be used to make improvements to lighting at the Camden County Multi-Use Complex. The required $425,000 in match will come from SPLOST 8 funds. At this time, I would like approval to submit application as presented.
Okay, can I get a motion on this item?
Motion to approve the grant application.
Second.
Got a first and second to approve the grant application. Any more discussion?
Ms. Hagler, there was a question earlier tonight about whether SPLOST funds can be used, and I think the question was framed in a legal term. Can you address that?
Commissioner Gooden, I'll address that. So
Thank you.
the SPLOST funds that we're referring to would be those funds that would surpass the voter approval, $55 million that was approved by the voters. So those would be funds that would surpass those funds, those revenues.
After all obligations have been met?
Yes, sir.
For those funds. Thank you, Mr. Boatright.
All right, got a first and second. All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you. I'm requesting permission to submit an application to ACCG for 2 summer interns. This grant enables the county to hire college students for specific projects that will benefit the county and citizens. The departments requesting interns include administration and communications. The funder suggested that the county contribute 25% or $750 in match for each intern. The match will come from the grants management match budget. At this time, I would like approval to submit application as presented.
Can I get a motion on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the grant application.
Second.
All right, this is a grant application for 2 interns.
2 interns.
Any more discussion?
Yes, sir.
All in favor? Motion carries. You want to tell us where we're going to put them? If we get them?
Yeah,
Or should we do that?
administration and communications.
Okay.
Okay.
I was thinking that something else, so.
I know.
All right.
That's why I said just 2.
Chairman, I think that you're speaking of the senior center. We're going to try to use them over there and use that as a project for their graduation project.
Okay. All right. This brings us to item number 10.
Mr. Chairman,
More discussion about the DA.
Yes, sir, I'll take that one. So with the last time that we met about the DA's office, he had sent in a request for us to handle direct payroll for additional staff members of his. So since the board has approved that, we've sent his office a letter indicating of what the board decided. He has since resubmitted a new request regarding those direct payroll appropriations for his staff and requesting that we actually do not process the supplemental pay for one of the ADAs, which will be the assistant district attorney, so this is for one of the staff members that he has. He's also asking that the board not limit the use of the ADAs, just the ADAs themselves, to Camden only. So those are the two requests that he's made. That is up for your consideration this evening.
Okay. Well, we don't want to hamstring him, but we want him to kind of push the cases through the county. Anybody got a motion on this?
I got a comment.
Okay.
Can I make it?
Sure.
Okay, I've talked with Keith, and, which is our district attorney, and I've asked him what's going on. His goal when he first took office was to reduce inmate population. That's been a problem here. Our jails kind of in disarray, and the reason being is we had the capabilities, and Larry can correct me if I'm wrong, of housing 148 inmates, and most of the time we're up around 200 inmates. They're laying in what they call boats, and they're in there in those cells, in these boats in the middle of the cell, trying to survive. But the big deal was that the district attorney was going to reduce the inmate population. Now, what he told me, because I asked him point blank, I really don't understand what's going on, is that when a DA, when he hires a DA, they are a district DA. They work in the district, which means that he has to farm them out throughout the district. They're not just for one individual. I'm trying to explain this from what I know, because I think you need to always look at the whole picture, not just a part of it. Look at the whole picture. And I recommend that we put this on hold for right now. That's my recommendation. And stay exactly where we are, because I still want him and the sheriff to reduce that population. It's a bad place over there.
The one thing that I will say is that he's in his email to myself and the board was that he had found an additional revenue source somehow, some way, to be able to pay for that supplement for that one attorney.
That's right.
So I think if the board were to really consider anything, is, just that one portion, I think, based off of the past decision that the board made, maybe stay true to what you had based off of what you're saying, Commissioner Turner, now. But I think if he's found another revenue source in which he feels that he can pay that one attorney that supplement, because apparently that one attorney handles all the appeals for the entire circuit. He's like the appeal attorney, if you will. So I think that would free up that one attorney. I think the bigger issue, though, that the board needs to consider is the caseload has grown over 1,000 cases over the last 4 years. And on top of that, the board has appropriated an additional $400,000 to the DA's office. And part of that $400,000 is additional staff members, additional ADA personnel. So there's been quite a big increase financially, and the caseload, unfortunately, continues to increase.
Right.
So he's got another funding source for this one DA?
Yes, sir, that's what he indicated in the email.
Well, I'll tell you this too, it's not an astronomical amount of money. I had it in my head and I've lost it, but each one of them, we weren't paying benefits at all. All we were paying was that $13,000 per assistant DA, I think, right? Was it close to that?
It varied. There was 3 different ones and 3 different amounts, but those were annual amounts that you were looking at, so the monthly would be a lot less than those. And they're paid out monthly, their supplements.
Well, if he's got another funding source, I'll make a motion that we drop funding for this one DA, and the district attorney can pick him up. Dropping the supplement, yes.
May I make one suggestion? Just that, based off of the board's last decision, is that, where you're referring to Camden cases only, where those attorneys are really trying to drop down our caseload, is while that one attorney is not handling appeals in other cases, he somehow, some way, continue to track the hours that, they're currently working in Camden somehow, some way, just so finance and payroll has some way of knowing, how much time and effort work is actually being done in Camden.
He should be giving us all that information for everybody on his staff that does work in Camden.
What we're processing payroll for.
Yeah. I'll amend my motion to require the DA to provide us the hourly breakdown of his attorneys working Camden County cases, his employees working Camden County cases.
Second.
All right, got a first and second. Any more discussion? All in favor? All right, motion carries.
I'd like to make a note that for the last two votes, Martin has not been as fast as Trevor. He's trying. Trevor, have mercy, okay?
All right. This brings us to calendar.
The only thing I want to remind you is that we did cancel the first meeting in November, so the next meeting will be on November 19th, and that'll be one meeting for the month of November.
We do have a special called meeting coming.
We do, and I will get that on the calendar as well. We'll have a work session as well as a special call meeting on the 4th of November, and that will begin at 5 o'clock with the work session and 6 o'clock with the special call meeting, and that is regarding the millage rate.
Okay. County Administrator comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First off, I'd like to congratulate and welcome Mr. Scott Kicklighter. If you can just raise your hand for us. Scott comes to us with over 35 years of experience from Georgia Power. He's our new project manager. We're extremely excited to have him on board. He's already got going. He actually assisted us last week in preparation for Hurricane Milton and really helped us out being kind of a liaison, if you will, for the utility providers through OREMC and Georgia Power. So he knows a lot of those folks, worked alongside of them for a long time. He held various positions within Georgia Power and also served as a project manager for them, where they went in and did, all of the basically utilities in very large-scale buildings and kind of reworked all of those. So we're extremely happy to have him here. The biggest thing is, too, is that he's a local. So he lives here. His family's here. He's got 5 sons. I believe that's correct, right, Scott? So pretty awesome guy, and we're just extremely to have him on board. So appreciate everything you're going to be able to do for us, Scott. Looking forward to working with you. On top of that, Milton, so Hurricane Milton, we were going to do a slideshow of all the damage, but we were very, very fortunate. We didn't actually have any damage other than a few downed trees and some slight road washouts that Public Works had to respond to. But other than that, I do want to read off quite a bit of folks that actually helped us out, organizations. We actually put a press release out. This was released last Thursday, but definitely want to recognize our EMA staff, all of the county and city public safety and public works crews, all of our elected officials that assisted us, the Naval Sub Base Kings Bay, the school system, the Cumberland Island National Seashore, American Red Cross for staffing, our shelter, which, by the way, our shelter had as high as 67 people, 10 dogs, 2 cats, and 2 birds. One of the birds was a parrot, which actually got away, but then my understanding is came back. So the shelter operation, and I'll tell you, getting to speak to some of the people, the majority of them were actually from Florida, and just getting to speak to them, as unfortunate as it was to have to stay in a shelter, they were extremely pleased with how the American Red Cross, the outpour from our citizens here, some of even our nonprofits, our church organizations came up, cooked, provided food. It was a really awesome experience, I think, in total for us and for those of you that assist. Just greatly appreciate all of your working efforts. I know Commissioner Turner was over there working the grill for quite a while. But DFACS also and DPH, Department of Public Health, they both supported the shelter as well. Southeast Georgia Health System, and just all of our public entities that really came together and really supported this. But then on top of the public entities, we also had the private entities. So we had several businesses actually step up, not only to assist the EMA operations, but even those that were in need. So some of those, just to name a few, were Huey Magoo's, OBX, Outer Banks, the Green Room, Hog and Bones, M&A Seafood Market, the Senior Center, Restoration Church, the Harbor Worship Center, Southeast Community Church, Agape Church, Point Peter Baptist, and First Baptist Kingsland. So every single one of those organizations, whether it was donating food, manpower, time, efforts, energy, that they were actually doing to assist not only us, but several people within the community and also several individuals from Florida and surrounding communities. It was just a huge outpour of support, and we were appreciative of everything that everybody did throughout Hurricane Milton. I think we're very fortunate. We dodged a bullet. If you look at Florida, it's really grave what's going on down there. I know several individuals that are having to move out of the state of Florida because there's no more insurance being renewed at all. I mean, insurance companies are basically saying, we won't cover you if you choose to live in Florida. So it's really a sad situation that's happening down there. And Chuck, was he still here? He may have stepped out, but him and his staff, they did an outstanding job throughout the entirety of Helene and Milton. On top of that, the county was approved for individual assistance, and I had it here somewhere, and there was a write-up that I wanted to read out about FEMA, but we have a place where you can actually go to, whenever you go to the FEMA website, to fill out any type of assistance. There's a 60-day time period from the date of when it was federally declared, and that date was October 1st. So if you're an individual and you had damage, insurance will take place first. If you have insurance, you'll have to go through your insurance provider, but anything other than that, if you had damage or loss of goods, any of that stuff, you are eligible to apply through FEMA, but you have 60 days to do so. So 60 days after October 1. Now, outside of all of the hurricanes, and I pray that we don't have to deal with another one this year, if you have not heard, we do have an election going on. There's quite a bit of information on the ballot, federal, state, and local positions. There's also some questions there. One of it is a constitutional amendment to the state of Georgia. It's dealing with taxation. That's from House Bill 581. Heavily encourage voters to educate themselves on House Bill 581. But early voting started today at the Camden County Annex, which is located at 107 North Gross Road in Kingsland. Those hours are starting today, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., all the way up to Friday, November 1st. That's weekdays. There is a Saturday voting on October 19th and October 26th, which will be held from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and also a Sunday voting at that same location on October 20th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. There's two other locations, which will be St. Mary's Welcome Center, which is downtown at 400 Osborne Street, St. Mary's. Those weekday dates will start next week, Monday, October 21st, and they'll run through Thursday, October 31st. Same time, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. They'll also be one of the ones that holds the Saturday voting, which was October 26th. Saturday hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then we will also have the Woodbine office here, which is downstairs in the elections office. Those dates, again, next week, starting Monday, October 21st. They'll run through November 1st. Same time, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., as well as Saturday, October 26th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I believe that's everything I have, Chairman.
All right, thank you. I got a couple of comments I want to make. Part of it refers to the PSA prosecution. I offered with the sheriff to take that before the grand jury. At the time, the sheriff didn't think that was necessary. He thought the special prosecutor would be able to handle it. As we all know now, that didn't bear fruit. Also went before the special grand jury about the spaceport. And the judges, when I talked to the judges, they wanted some type of evidence. I didn't have any evidence of any wrongdoing. Mr. Goodman, if you got some, give it to me, and we'll go back before the grand jury. But I believe you and Mr. Winkle talked to the grand jury at the time, and the grand jury chose not to pursue it. And that's all my comments. All right, now, this time brings us to our final public comments of the night. We'll limit it to 3 minutes. Any registered speakers?
Yes. Mr. Paul Martin?
I'm here to address the board Timber Ridge subdivision, right-of-way issue. I purchased a home at 165 Timber Ridge in 1989. The developer and builder were David Strickland. The closing attorney was Grover Henderson, who was also the Camden County attorney. At no time was I informed the property was on a private road. In 1992, the developer stopped building. The Citizens Bank took over, selling remaining building lots. In 1998, the county commissioners approved drainage work due to flooding and some septic system failures. You would think that before drainage work was approved, the county would have verified that all right-of-ways and easements were in order. For years, the county maintained roads, drainage, tree work, and debris removal from right-of-ways. The drainage work helped, but needs periodic maintenance. There is a pond outside of subdivision that has a spillway issue. When this pond overflows, the drainage at cul-de-sac cannot keep up with flood areas. The roads need maintenance. I was told by our past county district commissioners that we were on the county paving list. Now we come to 2019, 30 years after I purchased property, to learn the roads here are private and not county maintained because the county never recorded ownership of right-of-ways from developer or bank. When I look at subdivision plat, I see right-of-ways clearly defined. Nowhere on plat are roads designated private. To my knowledge, no one purchasing property here in Timber Ridge has ever been told the roads are private and not county maintained. The Georgia Department of Transportation has Timber Ridge Drive listed as County Road 368 as a public road. Over the years, many homes have been purchased with Veterans Administrative loans. The VA does not approve home loans on private roads. Last year, a group of residents addressed the commissioners about the county taking ownership of Timber Ridge right-of-ways. The then Public Director, Public Works, Ms. McNamee, was making some progress for the county to have the subdivision right-of-ways dedicated to the county. Mid-year, Ms. McNamee left her position as Director of Public Works. I have tried to get some status from the new Director of Public Works and other county officials, but my requests have gone unanswered until August. District 5 Commissioner responded by email that the administration still has it in the works, but has no idea when a resolution will be reached on this issue. I am asking the county commissioners and administration to come to a conclusive resolution on the right-of-way issue at Timber Ridge subdivision. The tax-paying residents of Timber Ridge need our roads and drainage maintained by the county. Thank you for allowing me to voice my concerns.
Thank you.
Mr. Ralph Thomas?
Commissioners, thank you. My name is Ralph Thomas. I live at 70 Timber Ridge, St. Mary's, Georgia. My home was built in 6/5/93 by Bill Gross. At that time, the road was called 1301 Palm Drive. I was told that this was a county road because I'm military when I got here. It's been 30 years. And I also got a letter from Steve Berry, who was commissioner, I think, at the time, and he told all of us in the road that they were going to pave this road. We were next on the list. Also, you went in, I assumed it was a county road. You put a drain system in, which right now I don't think is working because during the last rain, where it drains out into the ditch, there was nothing coming out, but my backyard got 1.5 feet of water in it. It didn't get to my house. I had a lot of room, but I haven't had that problem since you put in the drainage, but now I'm getting the problem. So might be something we could look at. The reason I thought that was you put the drainage in, you used to come through and trim the trees. You did a lot of different items where the county would come through, sprayed for bugs, etc. It gave everyone the idea that this road was a county road. We have went, a few of us, and spent quite a bit of money, and we paved up to Randy's house, and it cost us a lot. We couldn't do the whole road because the people in the back didn't have the money. They couldn't afford it. So we've paved most of the road, at least more than half of it. And the other concern I have right now, when the fire truck comes in there, it has to go in, and where it's not been taken care of, I think it's a danger for the fire truck to even get through. The trash guys come through there, they barely get through there. It needs to be addressed, if nothing, for the county to look at it, if it's a safety for your emergency vehicles. We've done everything we could do. We've been here before. We talked to you. The lady that was Shannon, she had give us thoughts or was working real hard to get it approved. And at one time.
Well, your time's up, sir.
Okay. But I
I believe this is going to be part of the work session on the 4th. Is
Okay.
public roads, am I right? Yeah.
Mr. Paul Vachon? Oh, wait, did I call you again? Wait. Or is it Ralph Thomas? Did you already speak? Oh, they swapped? Oh, okay, you confused me. I thought I messed up.
Commissioners, my name is Paul Martineau. My wife and I have lived at 61 Timber Ridge since 1990. Thank you for listening to us again about the Timber Ridge Road ownership situation. We talked about this at commissioners' meetings in the summer of 2023. Progress was made with the work that Shalana McNamee has done. And since Shalana left, it seems that our situation has fallen off the radar. If the county is really serious in alleviating our situation and returning the restoration and maintenance of Timber Ridge Drive as part of the county-maintained road system as Shalana's questionnaire to us addressed, there is another situation for road dedication. Shalana's questionnaire asked the residents of Timber Ridge to grant a right-of-way in Timber Ridge to the county. The fact is, no one in Timber Ridge owns any part of the existing right-of-way, so we cannot grant anything concerning this. The existing 60-foot right-of-way is clearly marked on the Palmas Realis Estate subdivision plat. That's what it was called before Timber Ridge. Recorded in plat draw number 6, map 42, on the 16th of November, 1988. 1988, that right-of-way has existed. And the right-of-way is owned by Pineland Bank, formerly Citizens Bank. They acquired it when the developer became delinquent on the subdivision loan. When the bank sold all the remaining lots, they were left with ownership of the right-of-way. They are the true owners of the right-of-way in Timber Ridge, and they alone can grant the right-of-way to the county as requested in Shalana's questionnaire. Years ago, when Paul Vachon and I were the only ones residents in Timber Ridge that knew we had been abandoned by the county, because we were. Like everybody else said, county took care of us. All of a sudden, forget it. They told us we were on our own. I went to Chip Keene, the then president of Citizens Bank, to discuss our situation. After he did some research on the history of the development, he told me that he would be willing to have a quitclaim deed drawn up and relinquish any rights that the bank may have to the right-of-ways in Timber Ridge and turn it over to the county. It didn't happen. I won't go over why here. This is not the time or the place. This summer, I approached Chip Keane again about the matter. He is still willing to do this. The problem, getting the county to do the right thing and accept this offer. I'm asking you to accept this offer. The county can accept Chip Keene's offer on their own, but if needed, I or someone else from Timber Ridge would be willing to go with the representative from the county and meet with Chip Keane and make this happen. I implore the county to take this or some other action to repair this. They were set up to I want to make sure I get this right. They were set up to fail situation, as Commissioner Reddick called this our dilemma at the commissioners' meeting a year ago. There may be some concern about people not signing Shalana's questionnaire because they want our roads to remain private. The
All right,
truth
your
is,
time's up, sir.
can I have 15 seconds, please?
15 seconds, yeah, go ahead.
The truth is, every person that bought in Timber Ridge and received the questionnaire, whether they signed it or not, bought in Timber Ridge believing the county owned the right-of-way. If they wanted to live in a private development with private roads, they would not have bought here. Thank you very much for the 15 seconds. Thank you very much for everything.
Mr. Ricky Manning?
Rick Mann from Bullhead. I couldn't attend the last meeting as, during the storm, we have family that live west in Georgia, and they got kind of wiped out. But anyway, I wasn't here for this, to speak on this monstrosity y'all put out here. I've got no problem with going through a metal detector. My problem is that for some reason, this group thinks they're above and beyond everybody else that works in this building. I know probably 75, 80% of these people that work in this building every day. I speak to them all the time. And do you know the feeling that y'all give the people down there? That y'all don't give a damn. You care about yourselves. You're wasting tax money. You put your little meter up here and you require extra deputies. You already got people up here with guns. But you know what? Nobody's got a problem. Let's protect the entire building, the same way we do at the courthouse. But no, you get these people, of course, they're not going to say nothing to y'all because they already know how y'all retaliate against employees around here. It's been done before. But y'all give them like they're low-life people down there, that their safety does not matter. I've had several of them talk to me about it. But yet, your safety is above and beyond them. This is not right, folks. Let's protect the whole building. If you want to waste tax money and have deputies there, let's protect all these county employees. Y'all are no better than them. And you're not. I'm not neither. But this is ridiculous because you're not accomplishing anything. Anybody can walk in here and get up here. I could have done it and could still do it. Anybody. They're allowed to access this building all week long. You know what's right below you? There's a bathroom right below you. Somebody walks in here, if they want to take you out, they're going to take you out. It's not hard to do. So let's show the rest of this, our county employees that we pay taxes for and we love dearly, that they're just as important as you are. And let's protect your whole building or get rid of your monstrosity because you're no better than anybody else. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else?
I've already spoken once. Go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to take a brief moment to thank you for listening to the Waverly residents, and I appreciate what you've done tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dawn Gray again. I want to go back to the item number 8 on the agenda. And Mr. Boatwright, you used the term surpass. And I just want to point out that although Black's Law Dictionary doesn't define surpass, it does define excess. And the Georgia Supreme Court, if you go through Westlaw looking excess and surpass, Neither one of those are synonymous. So the use of trying to change excess loss funds to now funds that have surpassed the funds which have been issued from the referendum of which we did. I want to just briefly remind us that in the Dickey v. Story, that the Georgia State Supreme Court ruled that it was a breach of the board's fiduciary responsibility and that the funds were ordered back to reimburse the SPLOST account. They found that it was abuse of the board's discretion, and they also stated that the commissioners wasted and diverted taxpayer funds in violation of 48.8-110. Also, with regards to that and the multi-use complex, I would like for someone to find out who is locking the gate that goes into this multi-use complex. Now we have the gate that is locked. The PSA identifies that access to the parks are from sunup, from sunset to dusk, but yet it's being locked. And the Camden Soccer Club has access to those locks. So whether it's the PSA says it's you guys that have made that order, then the Camden Soccer Club says it's the PSA. So it would be nice to know who's actually locking down that facility, which is county-owned. Mr. Boatwright spoke about the constitutional amendment that is on the ballot this time, and to keep in mind that the gratuities clause is part of the constitutional amendment. So I would like to know, as we're continuing those discussions with regards to the multi-use complex that appears to only be used by one entity. And then finally, I'd like to, in the future, if we're going to use Putnam County as a reflection of what we're going to look at in Camden County with regards to our budget, I would really like for us to also take a look at perhaps maybe using them for our millage rate, as Putnam County has a 6.4 millage rate as compared to Camden County that has a 13.39. So if we're going to use that as an example, I sure would like it to be used for our millage rate also. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, now we need a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and convene an executive session for the purpose of discussing items exempt under OCGA 50-14-3B4. This is about real estate. Can I get a motion on that?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adjourn the regular meeting and convene executive session.
Second.
We have a first and second. All in favor? All right, we'll be back.
Martin, if we waited on Martin, we'd be here till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Huh?
phone? Just here with it. No, I just did this for Sean.
Make a motion. You collect them. Everything's in the bags.
You already quitting?
Getting close.
All right, y'all ready? All right, now we need a motion to adjourn the executive session and reconvene the regular meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn the executive session and reconvene the regular meeting.
Second.
Gotcha.
All in favor? All right, there's no action from the executive session, so can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Whatever.
Got a first and second to adjourn, all in favor? Motion carries.
Martin, your light
We're
went,
done.
but it doesn't-